it's 2013. You just got home from school, you had lunch, watched some cartoons, and it's finally time to boot up some good Call of Duty Black Ops 2 and play with your friends for the next few hours. Life's good. And this was mine back in the day. And I'm sure some of you had the same experience, or at least a very similar one. No Fortnite, no microtransactions, no bullshit. Just simpler times. And sometimes I really do miss that. I started pondering about all of this, and particularly the games I've experienced when I was younger, when recently a sudden urge to play Pokemon Mystery Dungeon came over me. Since my Nintendo DS was in my girlfriend's possession, I had to download it on my PC. And when I first opened it, music to my ears. A whole bunch of memories and feelings came over me, and I couldn't help but smile like an idiot all the time that afternoon that I played it. And it was at this point that I asked myself, why do we go back? Why do we feel the need to play games we have already played during our childhood? Is nostalgia really that strong of a feeling? To put it bluntly, yes. As I said before, times were simpler. We had no major worries, like work, bills, savings, nothing like that. And when we stumble upon a game we played when we were younger, we think of the way we felt during that time. Maybe that particular game meant something to us. It taught us a lesson, or we played it on a vacation, or it was our first ever video game and it opened a whole new world to us. Personally, I don't remember what my first video game was, but I vividly remember me and my best friend at the time at his house playing Crash Team Racing and laughing all the time at all the weird shits that were happening. And this is a very precious memory to me, because a good part of my childhood was playing games with this friend. As you can see, we often associate the game with a feeling. I'm sure that if I were to see a Crash Team Racing old PS1 case, I would get flooded with memories and my heart would warm up. And that's nostalgia. That's why some people go back to old video games they've already played. For example, last year I played Sly Cooper 2, Band of Thieves, a sequel to the very popular Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus. I really hope I really did pronounce that well. Similar to my example before, I've played this game a lot with another person. My cousin. My cousin and I have only a 2 years difference, so it was like having another best friend to me. And the best part is that we live next to each other. So we spent a lot of time together as kids, especially playing video games. And one of those games was Sly Cooper 2. I can't remember how many hours we put into the game, doing every mission, getting stuck in some parts, and restarting again and again. What I remember though is the feeling of playing it next to a very close person to me and spending time together. Now that I realize, I really do miss that part of video games, where we got to meet each other in real life and play the game together and sharing the same experience. It's a feeling that has someone been lost along the way, or at least it's not as common as before. Now we all have consoles, PCs, and we play online, still sharing the same experience, but in a different way. And don't get me wrong, I love playing video games online with friends. I even met some of them this way, so I'm not saying we should abolish them or something like that. I was just making an observation while going through my memories. And I miss those moments. And this is one of the reasons why we go back to those games too. The same thing happened with the Ratchet & Clank and Jak and Daxter series. I shared those experiences of playing those games with my best friend and cousin. All three of us playing the games together and spending times together. Talking about Ratchet & Clank, I know that a game has been released in 2001, Rift Apart if I remember correctly, but I still haven't played it yet. Probably because I'd rather play the old ones instead. And I might still remember where some of the secrets are too, just to let you know how much I play those games. And don't get me started on the Jak and Daxter series. It could be easily my favorite video game series of all time, based on how invested I was in them. Maybe due to the fact they were one of the more serious games I've played, even though they were still targeted to younger people. The topics and the storylines were a bit more dark and serious than the previous games I've mentioned, especially in the last two titles of the game series. So it was a new experience for me. And I would pay an ignorant amount of money to have the original trilogy on PC officially. Maybe a remastered version too, or maybe a remake too, where they could revamp some of the story as well. Or even better, all of them together, so I can pay all of this and I have all on my PC and I will be very happy. I could go on and on talking about Jak and Daxter specifically. And I'm sure you get what I mean, because maybe you have a strong bond with a game yourself. I feel like video games work kind of like photos, in a sense. We see a photo and we think back to the memories, to the experiences and feelings we had when we took it. Similarly, we see a gameplay or even a character from a certain video game that was very close to us, and we think back to the same thing. The memories, the experiences, and the feelings we perceived when we first played it. Even though this is one of the main reasons for this attachment to old games, and therefore the nostalgia we feel toward them, I think a big part of it is also due to the fact that there were fewer games in the past. I replayed a lot of games I liked because we only had those, and there weren't so many games available at that time. This is also why I played a lot together with friends IRL. One had a particular game, the other another one, and I had another one as well. So we just met up and played every game together, just to experience them all. This way I ingrained those gameplays, stories, and even button combos in my head from how much I've played. I think I still have some muscle memory for a couple of GTA San Andreas cheat codes if you gave me a PS2 controller in my hand. Not to mention the music. I feel this is even more relatable. When you hear a particular soundtrack from a game you played before, you get the butterflies in your stomach and you get instantly transported to that game in your mind. Music is the most powerful nostalgia trigger in my opinion. It hits on a completely different level than any other way of bringing back memories. Mostly because you're constantly hearing those music and soundtracks while you're playing it. The first instance that comes to me while thinking about this, it's Persona 5. I know it's kind of a recent game, but I feel nostalgia to it anyway. Take any song from that game and let me hear it, and it's over. It's as if I've never stopped playing. And I'm sure that the Persona 5's soundtracks have a huge influence on my nostalgia because I've played that game for over 100 hours, but I feel like it would be the same even if I only played it for 10 hours. The music in it is so good. I'm certain that most of you feel the exact same way when it comes to this. When you hear a particular song, you get lost in those memories. And that's a very powerful trigger. I know I'm praising the hell out of nostalgia in this video, because that's what makes us replay certain games. But I don't want it to be a thing like there are no good video games today, or you should only have time to replay those games you feel a certain way to it, or anything like that. I know you might be tempted, because nowadays there is an overabundance of video games, from the shitty ones to the most elaborate and most of the times overly expensive ones. We don't know what to choose anymore. Or maybe we don't even want to. We'll just say, let me just play a game I already know it's good. But we shouldn't do only that. It's true, times were simpler. But they will always be. In a few years, the young people of today, or even us, will think the same way. Times were simpler. So we shouldn't waste this opportunity to create some new memories, new experiences, new feelings for our future self. Because I'm sure he or she or they will thank us for it. It's good to go back from time to time, but we should enjoy the present too. So why don't you check this video right now at this very moment, while I'm going to play a new game. I swear it's new. Don't worry about it. Just check it. You're still here? Go.